I grew my Instagram page from just over 200 followers to 60,000 followers in a year. And how much money I made after a year of posting consistently really surprised me. So in this video, I want to show you how I grew my page, the lessons I learned, what worked, what didn't work, and what a year of content creation has actually given me beyond just the numbers. So as of today, the 5th of February, 2026, I have just over 61,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy. A year ago, this page barely existed. And I think on social media, it's very easy to think that numbers is all that matters. And by getting to a certain number, you might get to a certain level of success. So I want to be honest with you and paint you the entire picture. Creatively, personally, and financially. So when I started this page at the end of 2024, I thought that I knew exactly what I wanted to focus on. Clip this. I wanted to make a page that was outdoor focused, travel focused, sharing little adventures around the UK that my wife and I were going on. It made sense on paper. It matched the lifestyle that we liked living. I thought I would be good at making that kind of content. So I started making videos, sharing places that we've been, little tips and tricks from where we went. I also started writing weekly on a Substack, kind of wrapping everything up from the week that I was sharing into a little newsletter. And for the first couple of months, nothing really worked. No one watched it, but I kept trying. I kept trying different formats, hopped on different trends to see if that works. I was just trying to figure out what this social media thing was, trying to figure out Instagram. I just knew that I wanted to make something, and every week I sat down and I tried to do just that. So then at the start of 2025, I started sharing about our trip to South Africa the previous year. As I was editing photos from that trip, I really loved trying to find a style in my images, and I was looking towards these old Patagonia covers that I took inspiration from. I really liked the gritty feel, the texture, the film grain, the action shots. So I started editing my photos to look like these covers. Then at the end of January, just randomly, I decided I'm just gonna make a video to share my process behind making these pictures, how I edit them, how I go about taking these photos. And I shared that I was taking inspiration from these old Patagonia covers. And one of the first times that I shared my thinking, shared my process, not just the result. Somehow that video resonated and it got views, it got comments, it started being shared around. It wasn't perfect, it was far from it, but it was very honest, and it was me just trying something and just sharing a little bit about my process. And that was a real turning point. So I followed that feeling. I started making more videos about outdoor photography, outdoor brands that I was taking inspiration from. I was looking at old brand campaigns, I was looking at the images behind them, and slowly the page started to grow. By the end of March, I hit 1,000 followers, which blew my mind. And what I started to realize in that process of making these videos is that I loved the research part of it. I started finding a format to my videos that I really enjoyed making. Digging into the archives, learning something, putting it into a script, and sharing that in a 90-second video on Instagram. I loved that, regardless of what the topic was. So I lent into that more, and as I was researching these brands, as I was doing these videos about brands every week, something started to feel off, and I realized that, well, the companies I was doing these videos about are massive multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies in some stages, huge marketing budgets, and I was more interested in the people taking the photos, the stories behind the camera. That then led me to looking at photo books, trying to find the individual stories. And then around June 2025, I started my photographer series. First video I made was on Glenn Denny, who was a photographer that shot Yosemite in the 60s. Looking at the photo book and looking at the history that he shot, that he captured, really gripped me, and I loved it. So after starting this series, each week started looking like I would study a photographer, I would then process that into a script, I would then share that in a reel, what I was learning that week. And then I would also share some photos and things later in the week of me trying to put that into practice. And I was very careful from the start not to present myself as any expert in anything. I just wanted to share what I was learning. And people started to find my videos. More importantly, I fell in love with the process. I would then say that this series became the engine behind my page, behind why it grew so quickly. Everything I did was rooted in what I was studying that week, what photographer I was looking at. So I'd make one main video and then I'd share my photos, my reflections, and try a few different things with different experiments. People then started to find my page, and one video which was about Vivian Maier, completely blew up. Thousands of people started to arrive all at once on my page. And the only reason that didn't feel like a fluke was because I had already been doing this for a couple of months. When they arrived, there was already a little bit of an archive starting to be built to show that I had already been consistent in this series, giving them more reason to follow along. So then in June, I hit 10,000 followers. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought that I'd made it. I thought that brands would come knocking, sponsorships would start rolling in, and I thought that money would start flowing, but no. That didn't happen, sadly. And after a full year of doing this, I have made exactly £0 from a year of content creation, growing a page to 60,000 followers. Don't get me wrong, I got some really cool opportunities. I got a free meal at a restaurant once. I got some shoes and a boat trip, but nothing that pays the bills. Nothing to quit a day job over. And for a while, this was quite hard to process because I was looking at other people who were seemingly making livings off a lot less followers. But anyway, I kept going. Through August, my page grew to 25,000 followers, and then 30K in September. And then by the end of the year, I hit my goal of 50K that set a few months earlier. And it showed me in all of this, after a year of creating content, that value compounds. Not every video performs well, but consistency builds trust. That's really important. And when a video does do well, when people arrive on your page, there's already stuff there, depth there, not just one viral moment. So over the past couple of weeks, we got back from South Africa. Our last few days in Cape Town were amazing. Snuck in a few extra beach days. We ended our trip by having an evening watching the sunset on Signal Hill. It has become a bit of a tradition for us every time we go back, and I love that. We then got back to the UK and we moved back into the house that we lived in 2 years ago. The exact same house, which for anyone who's watched this page longer than recently, you would know that I was making videos here 2.5 years ago. One of my first vlogs was us moving out of this place, moving to Nottingham. Come back down to London, be closer to family, to be closer to opportunities here in the city. It's very weird. We've kind of just slotted all of our stuff back into the same places. Looking around, it's very odd because this view is the same, it feels the same, but there's been 2 years since we were last here. We blinked and so much has changed, and we're 2 years older, 2 years wiser. Coming back here, we just kind of slotted into routine. We found our rhythm. It just felt right being back here. Whilst I haven't made money from my page yet, a lot has changed. My editing has gotten better. My filming has improved. My understanding of photography, of history, of the people behind these photos deepened a lot. Most importantly, I found something that gets me excited to create videos every week. And finding this before any money is involved, really valuable. It's something that I can keep working on because I love it, regardless of the money. If you want to follow along on Instagram, I share shorter videos about photographers inspiring me and other creative ideas every week. All of my photos are on there as well. So go follow From the Lodge. Here on YouTube, I'm gonna keep making videos like this where I go a bit deeper into my thought process, my thinking behind how I'm making things on Instagram, dive deeper into lessons that I'm learning in photography and from these photographers. And I will keep bringing you along for the ride. The page has grown crazily in the last year. Even though it's not quite how I imagined it, I've learned so much. We'll keep going to bring you along, whatever might happen, whatever opportunities might come from this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.